cold wind swept across Maple Ridge, a small farming town tucked between two highways that most travelers barely noticed. On a grey Saturday morning, 29-year-old Nessa Whitmore parked her silver sedan in front of a weathered farmhouse that looked like it had been holding itself together through sheer determination. The porch paint peeled in long strips. One shutter hung crooked. Near the steps, a rusty bicycle leaned against the railing. Nessa sat behind the wheel for a moment, staring at an old cream-colored envelope resting on the passenger seat. Inside was a handwritten note from her late mother, a note that had brought her here. If you believe in kindness and second chances, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness Corner. 3 months earlier, Nessa had buried her mother, Corinne Whitmore. The funeral had been small. Corinne had spent most of her life as a traveling nurse, moving wherever work was needed. She never cared much about money or status. That often frustrated Nessa, who had spent years building a successful logistics company from a tiny office into a regional business with more than 200 employees. After the funeral, Nessa began sorting through her mother's belongings. Most boxes contained ordinary things: old photographs, receipts, recipe cards, and postcards from places she'd worked. Then she found the envelope. On the front was a name written in fading blue ink: Rowan Hale. Inside was a short note. If I never get the chance to repay him, please do it for me. That was all. No explanation, just an address. The address led her to the farmhouse. When Nessa climbed out of the car, she noticed a man stacking firewood near the side yard. He looked tired in the way people do when exhaustion has become part of their routine. His flannel shirt was faded. His hands were rough from work. Beside him stood a boy of about 10, kicking at a patch of dirt while holding a broken toy truck. The man noticed her approaching. "Can I help you?" he asked cautiously. Nessa swallowed. "Are you Rowan Hale?" He nodded. For a moment neither spoke. Then she held out the envelope. "My mother passed away recently. Her name was Corinne Whitmore." Something changed in Rowan's expression. Not surprise exactly. Recognition. He looked down at the envelope and sighed. Corinne. The name seemed to carry years of memories. They sat on the porch while the boy, whose name was Beckett, wandered into the yard chasing a grasshopper. Nessa learned that Rowan had been raising Beckett alone for almost 7 years. His wife had left when their son was still a toddler. Since then, Rowan worked odd construction jobs, repaired farm equipment, and took whatever seasonal work he could find. Money was always tight. The farmhouse had belonged to his grandparents. Some months, keeping it felt impossible, Nessa finally asked the question that had been bothering her for weeks. "How did you know, my mother?" Rowan looked toward the distant fields. It was about 12 years ago. At the time, Rowan had been driving home from a job site during a snowstorm. Near a mountain road, he found a car that had slid into a ditch. The driver was Corinne. She wasn't seriously hurt, but the car couldn't move, and there was no phone signal. Rowan spent hours helping her. He drove her to safety, paid for a motel room because she had lost her wallet in the accident, and arranged repairs for her vehicle. When she offered to repay him later, he refused. "It wasn't a loan," Rowan said quietly. "It was just helping somebody." Nessa frowned. "Then why did she say she owed you a debt?" Rowan smiled faintly. "Your mother and I argued about that for years. After the accident, they exchanged occasional letters, holiday cards, small updates about life. Corinne never forgot what he had done. To her, kindness created responsibility, not a legal debt, a human one." The conversation lingered in Nessa's mind, because over the years she had grown, accustomed to contracts, invoices, and measurable value. This felt different. Before leaving, she handed Rowan a check. Not an enormous amount, enough to cover repairs on the farmhouse roof and clear several overdue bills she had quietly learned about beforehand. Rowan stared at it. "I can't accept this." "Actually," Nessa said gently, "I think you're accepting it from my mother." For a long moment, Rowan didn't answer. Then he nodded. Over the following months, something unexpected happened. The check helped, but it wasn't what mattered most. Nessa kept coming back. Sometimes she brought coffee, sometimes she stopped by after work. Beckett loved asking endless questions about running a company. Rowan helped her understand things no business school ever taught: how communities survive, how neighbors remember favors, how people carry each other through difficult seasons. One autumn afternoon, nearly a year after their first meeting, the farmhouse looked different. The roof was repaired, the porch had fresh paint. Beckett's bicycle was no longer rusted. Nothing magical had happened. Life was still complicated. Bills still arrived. Work remained stressful. But things felt steadier. Comment: kindness still exists if you believe even one good act can change someone's life. As Nessa prepared to leave that day, Rowan handed her a small wooden box he had made himself. Inside was the original letter from her mother, folded carefully, protected. She never forgot what happened, he said. Nessa smiled. I'm starting to understand why. If this story touched your heart, please leave a like and share it with someone who still believes kindness matters. Sometimes people think kindness disappears the moment an act is finished, but often it keeps traveling quietly through years, through families, through people who never even met. The smallest favor may not change the world overnight, but it can leave a trail that leads someone home when they need it most. And sometimes the debts worth repaying aren't about money at all. They're about remembering the people who chose to care when they didn't have to.